Hello, everyone. Good evening. Welcome to our Tuesday webinar. We have a lot of members, especially the new members, that do not understand what the healing process is. And Dr. Chris and I call it retracing. It's a very natural part of the body's um, process as you're going through the rejuvenation. And so we're going to talk about retracing tonight, right, Dr. Chris?
We are. Good evening, Dr. Tina, and good evening, everyone. Thank you for joining us. This is a great topic, and very few individuals understand because this isn't something that's introduced into conventional medicine at all. But retracing is a natural expression of the body. When something is healthy or therapeutic, when it's introduced into the body, it allows the body to catch up with old stressors, old toxins. It's a cleansing priority that it provides. So it's really important. So clearing up the past so one can move on into the future. Health is there, but it's covered up by clouds. And the key is to clear up those clouds and to unmask the symptoms. And that's what we're talking about with retracing, Dr. Tina.
We sure are. And, we wish we could say that you don't have to go through with that process, but it isn't the way the body works, and we wish we could, sprinkle fairy dust on everyone and then you just feel healthy and youthful and vital as you go through the rejuvenation process. But it's not how it works. And so we need to help you understand the two different mindsets. When we're looking at the disease mindset, this is when we think that we take a pill and we're supposed to feel better. And that's how the conventional system works, where you're just putting a band-aid over a problem. And whether it's a pain that you're feeling, you're just masking the overall symptom, right? But the body's not really healing itself. And this is why when you go to the doctor, they'll say things like, you need to be on this medication for the rest of your life, because in their belief model, they do not believe or teach you that the body has this amazing power to rejuvenate itself. And so we have a very different mindset, and that is rejuvenation. And that's when retracing occurs. And we'll talk about these different areas, but the healing process is basically the reversal of those symptoms that kind of got you into the symptoms in the first place. So, when we look at, the food, sleep, exercise, and stress, we have to take a look at all of these four areas when we're looking at the rejuvenation mindset. So we know that we need to focus on those areas as we're becoming younger on the inside, as we're becoming healthier. Dr. Chris, anything to add?
We could actually move into the different phases. There's many levels, but there's five major phases that we discuss. And the first one is an excretion phase. This is all we're very familiar with. When you're perspiring with exercise, or you got mucus that builds up in the congestion in the lungs and in the nasal passage, and you get earwax and lactic acid that builds up, all the crud in your eyes. It's part of the drainage phase of the mucus lining that's coming out. You're dealing with the lymphatics, the throat, the lungs, the excretory organs. So that's the first phase. But when you don't do that appropriately, it builds up, and then it goes to an irritation phase. And that's when you start feeling a little bit of discomfort. So there's redness and swelling and dull pain. And this is where we usually run to the drugstore for over-the-counter symptom relief. But remember, it's not a problem with getting a symptom relief, but you don't want to stay there with it. This is something you want to reverse. That's why we talk about retracing. So how to turn back that clock, because if you don't, it continues to escalate. It goes from irritation to inflammation. And this we all hear at the doctor. It's the the professional way of talking about inflammation. And you just look at a part of the body and you give it an itis. If it's in the joints, it's arthritis. It's in the tonsils, it's tonsillitis. But all it means is inflammation. And this is where you're getting stuck in that stress defense mode that we try to teach you about. And again, another area that can reverse itself when you have the remedy to do that. And this is why we recommend TeloYouth programs, because it's so powerful in reducing stress and helping to reverse these retracing cycles that build up in the body as it gets traumatized for deeper and further. So if you don't handle the inflammation, it turns into sclerosis, meaning there's a hardening that happens. So that the tissue, hardens and develops growths. This is where you see tumors and cysts, and in the liver it would be cirrhosis. So hardening of the liver that we've been talking about, the fatty liver disease, or just congestion from the liver or from alcoholism. These are the things that happen and cause the sclerosis, the hardening. So think of it as like an encapsulation, or you're isolating the organ or the tissue, and it's really losing its function. And ultimately it just becomes atrophy. This fifth level is where you have just a total functional breakdown. So there's either a numbness, so we see it as neuropathy, and the feet and the legs and different parts of the body. And it's an extreme cell abnormal function. And when the tells go, and then the cells go abnormal, you can see the abnormal tissue turns into, cancers and really serious problems. And Dr. Tina, this is an area we've been covering for decades, and yet very few people understand.
Oh, exactly. And, I think it's interesting too. Let's go. I want to mention sclerosis. Um, it's when we have a tumor and the body starts to move into, like, let's say, the retracing phase. Let's say you have a tumor, and all of a sudden, you had inflammation before that, but then it's been ignored and the tumor comes. And so the tumor is there. Well, now you start the quantum rejuvenation program, and what happens is that tumor will start to enlarge and will start to want to break down. So it moves from sclerosis back to inflammation, then it gets irritated, and then it will excrete. So it's kind of like it'll get a little bit bigger as, the energy goes into that, and wants to break it down, and then you'll feel the inflammation, and again, it just kind of all reverses. So as you're going through the process of rejuvenation, then what happens is, you feel these different phases as you're going back through that retracing process. So just keep in mind that, this is how it starts, but then when you start to heal, this is how you feel it as it's moving back out of the body. And what happens naturally when you start to go through the rejuvenation process? You detoxify, because what happens is you start to support all of those symptoms, or excuse me, systems that have been either blocked or have become sluggish, and you start to have the immune system become stronger, and you'll start to scavenge those white blood cells will scavenge the toxins. Your liver becomes more efficient. The enzymes break down toxins. Your gallbladder will start breaking down fats. It'll even clear out the gallbladder. Kidneys. This is one of the areas which is where a lot of the toxins will come out through your urine, and then the GI tract. This keeping these elimination areas open is so important, and the GI tract will become healthier. Your stools become more normal. But sometimes you might end up with constipation or runny stools as your body is going through the retracing process and the detoxification is happening, because those toxins have to become They have to become eliminated throughout the body. Your lymphatics, with our lymphatics, you know, it's so important to exercise to pump the lymphatic system. There's no natural pump. We have to be moving our body for that to happen. And that's like the fluids, the drainage in our body. And we talk about, we always say you can either have a stagnant pond or a flowing creek or a flowing river. And so it's important to keep those lymphatics moving. Your lungs, sometimes you'll have bad breath, when you're going through the detoxification period because the toxins are going to come out through your breath. And your skin, your pores, you can actually end up with toxins coming out and have breakouts. We see this a lot with people that have had chemotherapy or have been taking or have been exposed to chemicals, and they start detoxifying. And, let's say that maybe the kidneys or the GI tract isn't cleared up enough, and you can end up having those toxins come out through your skin because those other areas, those other pathways aren't clear. So, there's different things that you can do to support all of these different areas. We're going to talk about those a little bit later, but each one of these areas is going to become cleaned out, more efficient, so that they can help you with that natural detoxification process. Dr. Chris?
Yeah. Well, and as it complicates, Dr. Tina, the organs and systems, they start taking over for each other. And so the liver doesn't detox, and then the kidneys get more stress, and the stools are just compacted, and just the lymphatics get worse. So this is why there's so many things to dealing with healthy lifestyle, and why we keep stressing on exercise and hydration, and the good foods that allow us to support this detoxification. So let's talk about some of the symptoms, Dr. Tina.
Absolutely. So we can become very tired. And I'll give you a good example. When we have our eyes open, it's like as soon as our eyes open up, within a few minutes, our foot is put on the gas pedal and we're on go, right? Then we are on go. And when we're on go, then our body uses its energy for output, to move, to do things during the day. And the body gets ignored and doesn't really detoxify very well or rejuvenate. So, a lot of times, what will happen is when your hormones are truly out of balance, your body sometimes will make you tired in the middle of the day for weeks or just a few days as you're going through the retracing process. This is very important for you not to override if you feel tired or fatigued, because your body wants to force you to close your eyes so that you can continue the rejuvenation process. Please listen to your body. Excessive thirst. This will happen as your cells get healthier. They are going to be more hydrated. You are going to have more thirst. Your body's going to need more water to be able to push out those toxins. And so make sure that you listen to yourself and have not more soda, not more coffee or tea, but pure, good, clean water. You will be detoxifying. This is you can't get around it. We have too many toxins, from metals to plastics to, just things, the air and the environment, our water, some of our water. You go out to a restaurant, you're not going to get that good, pure, clean water 100% of the time. Some of the foods with the herbicides and pesticides. So you will detoxify as your systems get better. Headaches. Headaches will happen when you go through the detoxification process. And that's just the brain, trying to get rid of heavy metals. And it's a good thing, but you have to be okay with, just knowing it's a temporary thing. Gas and bloated. This is the gut is going to break down some of those bad bugs in there. And as that happens, they don't like it, and you'll get gassy and bloated. You could have flu-like symptoms, just feeling chills, or just, not having, again, that energy. Strange pains. This is very interesting, isn't it, Dr. Chris? I remember like, you playing football. You've had issues with being beat up. And I know that those pains of where you've had injuries in the past, all of a sudden that pain comes back and it's like, whoa, wait a minute. You might have, like, let's say a shoulder. You wouldn't you had a limited movement on the shoulder. The pain comes back. Next thing you know, that pain goes away, but your movement in your shoulder was better. The skin rashes, again, I mentioned that because of the toxins coming out of the body. Constipation or runny stools can be very common, those old injuries and emotional. Talking about emotional traumas. Um, I really want people to understand we're all energy beings first. What does that mean? You have an energy field that is around you. This is not woo woo. This is not something that is um, you know, just like freaky. This is a reality. We have the science that shows that we have an energy field. And believe it or not, our thought processes hang out in our energy field. Um, our emotional traumas or emotional symptoms hit our energy first, our energy field, before it actually lands in our body. So, what will happen is there's multiple layers that we go through as we retrace. And you might have an emotional trauma that created a physical problem. So as you start to shift out and heal the body, those emotions that may have caused the physical trauma will come up for you to deal with. And this is important. You need to be able to journal and write about it. Do not suppress it, but honor it, be with it, feel it, and allow it to move and shift. The other way that we can work out some of our emotional trauma is through the strange dreams. And this is because our conscious mind is dialed way down or off while we sleep, and the subconscious opens up. The subconscious is where we suppress a lot of these traumas or things we want to forget. And this is when the body's healing. We can have these really cool, strange dreams. And this is a good thing. It's the old energies moving out of the body. So, Dr. Chris, it's very, as you can see, very multidimensional here, isn't it? As
Yeah,
we're moving through this process.
and
And
it's so important. Yeah, it's so important to just don't take all this information for granted. This is a time to pamper yourself rather than just push away all these symptoms and just think that you don't have to experience them, because they're really telling you that you're digging a deeper hole into the aging and breakdown in the body. So the way to reverse that is just to really love and honor yourself. So we're going to
yes.
ask a few questions here to help everyone understand that.
Well, and here's the other thing though, the body has the wisdom. It holds the wisdom. And to be able to tune into that again, where we've become a culture of ignoring what our body tells us. And so this is a gateway, a true gateway for you to open that door and to connect in with that whole wisdom of the body. So really, really important to be able to do that.
Okay. So how do I know if retracing is good or bad? Well, this is a very positive phenomenon. It's fundamental to healing in the body, and it provides the regeneration, the repair, the recovery, all the things that we want to see get reversed. And it's a very natural process. That it's so different than suppressing disease like you would do with medications. So understand this reversal and how important it is to work with. And it really depends on the individual too, because we get questions about, well, how's my immune system to do with this? It was, well, it depends on your history. If you have a history of a strong immunity and very little illness, then you can recover much faster. If you have a weak immune system and you've had a lot of challenges, then it's going to take a little longer. So these are the things to really do a survey on what you're experiencing. So is tracing different from the medical side of effects? Most definitely. It's just the medical side is a result of from the body's reaction to imbalances or toxins introduced during the treatment. And this is why we help people to overcome. So we're not against the conventional system as much as giving you some help, but at the same time, you have a chance to reverse and rewind and get back to your healthy, integrity and strength. And then how long will my retracing last? And that's what I just talked about. It really depends on your age, your energy level, and your immune system. Your overall inflammation. How many of the toxins you've built up in your system. So 3 days, 3 weeks, maybe even longer, could several months, depending upon where you're at and what you want to contribute into the reversal. Dr. Tina, these are all very powerful issues to understand. You want to add a little bit there?
Well, what I think is interesting is how long will my retracing last? There's just so many factors. Don't you find it? I mean, when I go through another retracing, I just go, wow, it's so great. I hit another layer. So look at it as a celebration, embrace it. It's not just going to happen one time, hopefully. You'll go through it. And it depends too, by the way, are you doing quantum level 1, 2, or 3? That's going to make a difference as well.
Yeah, the commitment to just reverse. So this is why, we ask all the time, does retracing happen only once? No, this is a way of life. It happens multiple times because this is how you regenerate and heal and repair, and especially now with the challenges we're exposed to. So this is ongoing, and it's a way to really go deeper and heal old things versus dealing with the stressors that are happening in the moment. Will I always feel my body going through purification and recovery? Not necessarily. It's most of the time you don't. You're young and strong and you have all your systems working. But when you start feeling it on the deeper levels, these higher levels of degeneration, this is when you feel the inflammation. That's why we talked about, there's this excretion phase and the reddening phase, but then you go into inflammation. That's when you start experiencing where before that, you're definitely, weakening and getting stronger, but you don't necessarily have to feel it. And then, do I have to go through the detoxification and recovery process to reverse aging? Absolutely. I mean, that's an absolute because this is how you regain the cells and the tissue that allow you to rejuvenate and just work again the way they were designed when you were young. So, this really helps you understand why rejuvenation, retracing are just key components to TeloYouth program and why it's unique to anything else that's out there. Dr. Tina.
Yes, let's talk about what else you can do to assist this process because you will go through it if you are doing our quantum rejuvenation program. And you just know in your heart, this is a good thing. You can either slow down your process or continue the course or increase, but do not stop because what you're doing is you're just saying, okay, body, you can stay where it's at, but if you pick it up again later, it's just going to be worse. So what can you do? Drink more pure, clean water. This is the flushing that you want to do. Eat lighter, healthier foods. Please don't eat deep fried foods or processed foods. That's what got you into trouble in the first place. So look at what you can do to eat those healthy foods, the meats that don't have the hormones and all those antibiotics in them, and all the good healthy fruits and vegetables that do not have the pesticides and herbicides. Go for organic. Take your hot soak baths in Epsom salts, especially if you're detoxing through your skin. Then you really need to do this to help support pulling those toxins out in a much more efficient way, and those salts are going to calm it down. Change the amount of TeloYouth. Again, either increase or decrease, but do not stop. Make sure you are walking or lightly exercising, getting your lymphatics moving, because that's where the toxins want to flow out as well. So you've got to keep those fluids, that lymphatic fluid moving throughout the body. Massage is great for that too. There's great lymphatic massage that you can do that will help to open up those drainage points, or brushing. There's dry brushing that you can do to help with that. Make certain your body is eliminating waste. You better be pooping or peeing. You've got to be eliminating. If you're not, find ways to support this process. Some people who are constipated during their retracing process, you need to make sure you have the right amounts of magnesium. You might need more magnesium through to help you with that. Sauna. Infrared sauna is fantastic. If you don't have infrared and you just have steam sauna, that's great. That's going to help get some of those plastics and toxins out through the skin. Sweat, sweat, sweat. Address your emotional state of being. For the most part, you could probably be crabby at the person or people that you live with. Please be gentle on yourself and be gentle on them. Let them know what you're going through so that they can support you through that process and not be angry at you either. And then rest. Make sure you're getting the good quality sleep, whether it's in the middle of the day and you're required to go down for 20 to 30 minutes. Please, please find a way to do it. Get out in nature. That's the other thing. Nature is such a fabulous grounding for us. If you're in a place where you can take your shoes and socks off and get your bare feet on the ground, it will be so therapeutic for you to be able to get yourself grounded. And there's also really good grounding sheets that you can put on your bed as well, that you can get right out there at Amazon. I'm actually going to be taking a look at those, Dr. Chris, because I think I need to get some of those as well. And then appreciate. Really, really open your heart to yourself and to your others. You might find that you might need to forgive yourself for something, forgive others. I tell people forgiveness is such a great thing. Why do you want to bind yourself to them without doing any forgiving? And I know sometimes that can be tough, but it's part of the process. But usually people need to forgive themselves. So, anyway, those are some of the great things that you can do. And Dr. Chris, do you have anything you'd like to add to this?
A great list to help individuals to discover how to love themselves, and then let's see how we can support that, right?
Yeah, the nurturing is really an important part of this entire retracing process. So, with that, let's take a look at these three programs. We've got level one, two, and three. Um, Level one is usually something that is worked up to. We do have people that jump in right into either one, two, or three. Depending on your personality, what you want to do, that's great. Just know that if you jump into level two or level three immediately, you will retrace faster because you're going to be pushing your body to that point. Level one is a little bit more gentle. And then there's a wellness program too that you can just kind of gradually, it's one scoop twice a day and four soft gels a day, two twice a day. So um, make sure that you're just staying in tune with your body and supporting it through that process.